Hey, this is Jessie Delacourse with Going Deeper. Thanks for joining us. I have with me my son Jack Baird Delacourse, 5.5, and very serious. And my daughter, one of the two, June Louise Delacourse. Oh my goodness, how am I going to tell a story with you covering my mouth? June is 3.5. Well, thank you again for joining us. Okay, wait, pause. Jack, June, do you guys want to hear a story, yes or no? If it's a yes, I need 2 thumbs up. All right, are you guys ready? Listening ears on.
Okay.
Listening ears on. All right, take your zipper, zip up your mouth. All right, are you all ready for a true story?
I zipped it backwards.
Oh, zip it the other way, so it's closed.
Backwards.
Okay, all right. This is a real story, y'all, and I don't think I've ever told it to you, and it's about a party. You want to hear a story about a party?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Once upon a time, Jesus went to a party. And this wasn't just a normal party. This was a party for a super important hoity-toity man named Simon the Pharisee. And Jesus came to Simon the Pharisee's house. Now, Simon the Pharisee, everyone knew who he was. He was really smart. He was very good, very proper. And a lot of people were at this party. And Simon the Pharisee decided he was going to invite Jesus. Now, Jesus, you remember, who's Jesus? Was he just a normal guy?
He did miracles and he was just Messiah.
He did miracles
Jesus.
and he was the Messiah. Now, I don't know if Simon the Pharisee really believed he was the Messiah, but he was really interested in Jesus because everyone was talking about him and he was creating a lot of controversy, and Simon was willing to entertain him. What are you doing? Okay, now sit up big and tall and listen, okay? Now, Simon has Jesus over at his house, and you're showing the bunny. Say hi.
Bunny's
So,
boy.
Simon the Pharisee has Jesus over at his house. And do you know what Simon was supposed to do back then? Do you know what they did if you walked into someone's house?
What?
They took off your stinky shoes and they washed your feet. And they would come up to you and they'd go, "Mwah, I'm so happy you're here," and give you a big kiss. Maybe more gentle than that. And they would even anoint your head with oil. Hey, glug, glug, glug. Well, Simon didn't do any of that for Jesus. And Jesus sits down to eat dinner. What do you think he ate for dinner?
What?
Bread? What else?
Meat.
Meat? Probably.
Fish.
Fish? Jesus loves fish. Well, maybe. But guess what happens? As Jesus is sitting down to eat and everyone's hanging out and Simon the Pharisee is hosting dinner, guess what happens? A woman runs in. And this was a bad woman. And everyone in town knew she wasn't a good woman. She was bad. And she runs in, and you know what she does?
What?
She starts crying. She bends down low at Jesus' feet, and she's just crying. And crying so much that her tears covered Jesus' feet. And then you know what she did? She took her long hair and she wiped Jesus' feet with it. And guess what else she did after that? She took a bottle of perfume. You know mommy's perfume? That's very expensive and only mommy can use it. Well, this woman had perfume like that, but it was probably even more expensive than mine. Guess what she did with that perfume?
Put it on him.
Put it on him? Put it on Jesus? What do you think she did with it?
She sprayed it around.
She sprayed it around, made the room smell good? Well, I'll tell you what she did. She took the jar of perfume and she broke it. And it spilled all over the floor and all over Jesus' feet. And I bet the whole room smelled like lilacs and roses and beautiful flowers. But guess what Simon the Pharisee, remember the host of the party? Guess what he was thinking? He was thinking, this Jesus, he really isn't a prophet. He says he's a prophet. Other people say he's a prophet. He's not a prophet, because if he were a prophet, he would know that this woman who's weeping at his feet, she's not a good person. She's a bad person. And obviously Jesus doesn't even know that. And he was thinking that in his head. He didn't say anything out loud. And guess what Jesus did? He turned to Simon and he goes, Simon, I'm going to tell you a story. And this is the story that Jesus told. He said, once upon a time, there was a man who worked at a bank. And he gave somebody a little bit of money to borrow. And he gave another person a whole lot of money to borrow. Well, both of those people lost the money. And the man at the bank says, okay, give me back the money now. And the person who only had a little bit of money said, I'm sorry, I don't have the money anymore. And the bank teller said, oh, it's okay, I forgive you, don't even worry about it. Well, the person who lost a whole lot of money came back to the man at the bank and said, I'm so sorry, I lost all of my money, and it was a whole lot of money, and I can't pay it back. And guess what the bank man said? He said, don't worry about it, I forgive you. Now Jesus is telling this to Simon, and he goes, Simon, who do you think loved the bank man the most? The guy who he forgave just for a little bit of money, or the person he forgave for a whole lot of money? What do you guys think?
The person he forgave for a whole lot of money. Because Jesus is so nice.
That's right. Jesus is like the bank teller, the man at the bank. And he loves to forgive sins. And he was saying, if you have been forgiven for a whole lot, you're going to love me a whole lot. And if you've only been forgiven for a little bit,
too.
You do. And you know what? He loves you a whole lot. And you know what he told the lady? Guess what he said to the lady?
What?
Do you think he said, scram, lady, you're ruining our party? What do you think he said? Do you know what he said? He said, get up and go in peace. And do you think she left crying and feeling sad?
No.
No? How do you think?
Happy voice.
Happy voice. I think she had a happy voice too. I think she was pretty excited. Isn't that awesome? That's a real story. Thank you so much for joining us. Any last words, Jack and June? We'll close out with this whistling song and a headbang from Jack. Y'all have a good day. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Love, babe.